Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. I've been going through a series of video presentations for the Rankin Technical College AWD Application and Web Development 1000 Web Development Technologies class. So far I've gone through the 20 chapters, the entire book, for Murox HTML5 and CSS3, 4th edition, and now I am into Murox JavaScript and jQuery 3rd edition. And so far I've only done the first two chapters, Intro to Web Development and Getting Started with JavaScript. So it's time to get into the essential JavaScript statements. So, as it says, we're going to describe rules for evaluating conditional expressions, talk about logical not, and or, describe flow of control in an if statement, describe two ways that you can code a conditional expression. Alright, describe the three kinds of loops in JavaScript, those being while loops, do while loops, and for loops. Get into talking about JavaScript arrays and how you can work with them. So here are the 6 relational operators. These are not specific to JavaScript. It's the way most programming languages work. Notice if you're checking for equality, so if I want to say if x equal y, I use a double equal sign. If I say if x equal y, that's not checking for equality, that's trying to assign y to x. Alright, and not equals is an exclamation point followed by an equal sign. Those of you who might have a Linux background, you might call that bang equals. Alright. Less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to are the ones you probably are already used to. Here are some conditional expressions that use this stuff. Alright. You can check to see if something is not a number. This would return true because this is a string hopper and it's not a number. This would be false because once you strip this out, it is a number. Alright. It says logical operators in order of precedence. Alright. And it says they're in order of precedence. That's really not true, because the order of precedence is not, then and, then or. Not is what's called an inverter. Not married means single. Not a union member, okay, means that you're not a union member. Alright? And if I say if x greater than y and a less than b, both of those things to the left and the right of the and sign, which is the two ampersands, must be true. Or means only one of them has to be true. So if I say if x greater than y or a greater than b, if either one is true, the whole thing is true. Now, and or use what's called short circuiting. So if I were to write some code like this, I'll just put a very small little code snippet here. So let's take a quick look. So if I come through here, and I'm going to create a couple variables, var x equals 7, var y equals 3, var a equals 12, var b equals 17. I'm just making these numbers up. And if I say if, and you always want to put your conditions in parentheses, if x is greater than y and a is less than b, I'm just making this up, then I don't know, x equals x plus 2. Else x equals x minus 2. And you know we could have said right there x plus equal 2, which would have been a little better from what we just learned. And here we could have said x minus equal 2. All right? Let's break this down. if x is greater than y, is x greater than y? Is 7 greater than 3? Yes. So you must also check this. All right. Is a less than b? 12 less? Yes. So you'll do this and you'll skip the rest. On the other hand, if this had been 3, now is x greater than y? No. Since it's an and both sides must be true, you don't have to check this. If this is false and it's an and, you don't have to check this. All right. Now, if I change this to an or, and let's leave it like this. But if I say if x greater than or equal to y, well, is 3 greater than or equal to 3? Yes. So since it's an or, if that's true, I don't have to check this side. All right, that's what's called short-circuiting. So they give you a bunch of examples. There's the order of precedence. Not, and, or. Most restrictive, least restrictive. All right. We've already looked at these, and I've given you examples, I think, of each. Okay? When you work with an if, I just showed you this. So if your age is greater than or equal to 18, you'll put on the screen, you may vote. Otherwise, you're not old enough to vote. The point is, either this alert must print or this alert must print. One must, but only one can. And if you understand that, there's not a whole lot more to it than that. All right? So here's something where we've got else ifs. So if this first if here is true, you alert this and skip the rest. If this is false and this is true, you alert this and skip the rest. If this is false and this is false and this is true, you put that in there and you skip the rest. If this is false and this is false and this is false, you do this and you're done. You can combine these and make what are called compound expressions, where you use ands and ors and nots in any way you have to or need to do so. All right? Right here, these two statements mean the same thing. So if I've got a Boolean variable, and if I say if that Boolean variable equal true, a shortcut is just to say if followed by the name of the Boolean variable. In much the same way, if I say if the variable equal false, that's the same thing as saying if not is valid. So there's different ways that you can write the same thing. Loops, let's just take a very quick look here. Get rid of all this stuff. What that's going to print literally on the screen is LCV equals 1, LCV equals 2, LCV equals 3, LCV equal 4, LCV equal 5, LCV equals 6, LCV equals 7, LCV equal 8, LCV equal 9, and LCV equal 10. Why? Because this right here is our loop control variable, which I call LCV. Here you're initializing it to 1, and as long as it's less than 10, you print out its value and you add 1 to it. All right? Once you've done this and you print it out to 10, you print out LCV equal 10, you add 1 to it, making it 11, which is not less than or equal to 10, so you fall out of the loop. So that's one way. All right. Let's take a quick look at another way. Now with here, when we did it first, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines of code. When we went down and rewrote it, this is going to give us the same output. Notice we only have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of code. Because what we do in a for loop is we can declare our variable or initialize it, test it, and change it in the same line of code. All right. Finally, we can take this while that we've got here, put it at the end, and we need a semicolon at the end, and we put the word do up here. All right. That is going to end up doing pretty much the same thing. Now I'm looking here, all right, and well, it's that here we want to say less than because otherwise we'll print out 11. So you see right here, this is how to print the numbers from 1 to 10 using a while loop. And a while loop is what's called a pretest loop, because if this is 11, we totally skip the body of the loop and we print nothing. This is a for loop, which is again a pretest loop. So if we had an 11 here, we'd print nothing. This last one is what's referred to as a post-test loop. So even if that was 11, we'd still print out LCV equal 11 because it doesn't test our loop control variable until the end of the loop. All right, so I think I just gave you what's in there with all those loops, so I'm not going to go over them anymore. You will have plenty, you have to take my word for it, but plenty of practice using these. All right. There's an invalid message. There's a prompt asking you if you want to repeat. So the idea is typically if you're going to take the time to write code, you want people to run your program over and over again. Putting it into a do while like this is an example of how you can make that happen. They've got this future value app. We'll go through similar stuff. Test scores, we'll go through similar stuff to this in class. Here's the JavaScript being put inside of a script tag. All right, notice there's no source attribute because you're putting the JavaScript in there directly. And again, as I've already mentioned, that's not really recommended, although people do it. All right, let's change gears a little bit and talk about arrays. All right, arrays are designed to be contiguous storage locations. In some programming languages, not JavaScript, but in some programming languages, when you work with arrays, all of the elements in the array must be the same type. In JavaScript, they don't have to be. So they're showing you here how you can create an array. You can say new array followed by the size, or just do it like this. Probably the easiest way to do it right here. The things that go inside of the array, these indices, are called subscripts. Arrays in JavaScript, like virtually every other programming language, they're what are called zero-based. So the first element is element 0, the next would be element 1, the next would be element 2, etc. Arrays have a built-in property that's called length that tells you how big the array is. There's an old programmer's joke that says ask a programmer to count to 10 and she or he will say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 because you always start with 0. Here's code that would put the numbers from 1 to 10 in an array, as you can see right here. We'll do lots of different operations. This code that's here creates a brand new array, and it fills up 4 elements in the array with 141.95, 212.25, 411, and 135.75. Then in here, it adds those elements up. I have no idea what that would be. What, 100, 200, 300, 400, 5, about 900. Oh, that was a pretty darn good guess. So arrays hold array elements, also known as indices, or an array index for an individual element. Arrays have a built-in property called length. Many of the programs that they did earlier in the book, they can come back and redo the programs using arrays. We will. And that's pretty much it, I believe, for this chapter. I know I'm skipping a lot of the code, but the goal, again, is not to confuse you right now. We will have JavaScript, including some JavaScript code. That's the plan, as they say, for the website that we're going to create. All right, next, how to work with JavaScript, objects, functions, and events. This is me speaking, giving you my own personal bias right here. I think it's too early to present this chapter, but since I'm doing them in sequence, I will present it now as well. So I'll be back with Chapter 4 in just a couple minutes.